When we think of climate change, we picture melting ice caps, rising seas, and flooded cities, images that dominate headlines and spark urgent conversations. These are the visible signs, the ones we can see and measure as coastlines shrink and communities are forced to adapt. But beneath the waves, hidden from our daily view, a quieter yet equally devastating crisis is unfolding. The ocean, which covers more than 70% of our planet, is facing a transformation that is largely invisible but deeply consequential. Ocean acidification, often called climate change's evil twin, is altering the very chemistry of our seas. This process is subtle, but its effects ripple through entire ecosystems, threatening the balance that has existed for millennia. For over a century, burning fossil fuels for energy, transportation, and industry has released massive amounts of carbon dioxide, or CO2, into the atmosphere. This invisible gas is a byproduct of our modern way of life, and its accumulation has far-reaching consequences. Our oceans have acted as a buffer, absorbing nearly a third of this CO2. In doing so, they have slowed the pace of global warming, protecting us from even more extreme climate impacts. But this comes at a steep and often overlooked cost. As CO2 dissolves in seawater, it triggers a chemical reaction that increases the ocean's acidity. This shift in pH may seem minor, but even small changes can have dramatic effects on marine life. This isn't a dramatic spill or a sudden disaster, but a subtle global shift in the water's chemistry, one that is happening everywhere all at once and often goes unnoticed by the human eye. The ocean's stability, which has allowed life to thrive for millions of years, is being disrupted at an unprecedented rate. Coral reefs, the rainforests of the sea, are bleaching and dying, while countless species struggle to adapt to the new conditions. Marine creatures that rely on stable conditions to build shells and skeletons, like oysters, clams, and tiny plankton, are finding it harder to survive. Their shells weaken and dissolve, threatening the food web that supports all ocean life. The very foundation of ocean life is under threat, as the smallest organisms struggle, and the effects ripple upward to fish, marine mammals, and even humans who depend on the sea for food and livelihoods. This crisis isn't a distant threat. It's happening now, silently unraveling the web of life in our seas. Every day, the balance tips a little further, and the consequences grow more severe. The ocean's hidden struggle is as urgent as any storm or melting glacier. Its impacts are far-reaching, affecting weather, food security, and the health of our entire planet. This silent crisis demands our attention and action before the changes become irreversible and before it's too late to restore the balance in our seas. To understand ocean acidification, let's break down the chemistry. This phenomenon is a direct result of human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels. The chemistry behind it is straightforward, but its implications are vast and complex. When we burn fossil fuels, we release CO2, much of which is absorbed by the ocean's surface. This process is part of the natural carbon cycle, but the sheer volume of emissions is overwhelming the system. Like a fizzy drink, the ocean takes in this gas, but it doesn't just disappear. Instead, it undergoes a series of chemical reactions that alter the water's composition. CO2 reacts with seawater to form carbonic acid, which releases hydrogen ions, making the water more acidic. This increase in acidity can have far-reaching effects on marine life and ecosystems. We measure acidity with the pH scale. A lower pH means more acidic. Even small changes in pH can have significant impacts on marine organisms. Since the Industrial Revolution, ocean acidity has increased by about 30%. This rapid change is unprecedented in Earth's history and poses a serious threat to marine biodiversity. The extra hydrogen ions bond with carbonate ions, which marine animals need to build shells and skeletons. This bonding reduces the availability of carbonate, a crucial building block for many marine species. As acidity rises, there are fewer carbonate bricks for creatures like corals, oysters, and plankton. This shortage can stunt their growth and weaken their structures. Some can't build shells at all. Others end up with weaker, thinner shells. This makes them more vulnerable to predators and environmental stresses. In extreme cases, the water can even dissolve existing shells. This dissolution can lead to the collapse of entire populations of shellfish. This chemical shift threatens the very base of the ocean's food web. When foundational species are affected, the entire marine ecosystem can be thrown out of balance. The science is simple, but the consequences are profound. Understanding these changes is crucial for developing strategies to mitigate their impact. Our actions are rewriting the chemistry of the sea. It's up to us to take responsibility and make changes to protect our oceans for future generations. The effects of acidification are already visible in marine life. All across the world's oceans, scientists are witnessing changes that were once only predicted for the distant future. The water chemistry is shifting, and the consequences are rippling through the food web, affecting creatures both large and small. Creatures that build shells, oysters, clams, mussels, and tiny plankton, are struggling as carbonate ions become scarce. These ions are the essential building blocks for their shells, and without them, these animals face an uphill battle for survival. Young shellfish, barely larger than grains of sand, can't form strong shells, making them easy prey. Their fragile bodies leave them exposed to predators and environmental stress, reducing their chances of reaching adulthood. Experiments show that many larvae fail to develop, and survivors have fragile shells. This means fewer shellfish grow up to support the ecosystem or the people who depend on them for food and livelihoods. The ripple effect is huge. Entire ecosystems depend on these animals. When their numbers drop, the balance of the ocean is thrown off, impacting everything from tiny plankton to massive whales. Pteropods, or sea butterflies, are a vital food source for fish and whales, but their delicate shells dissolve in acidic waters. These tiny creatures are sometimes called the potato chips of the sea because so many animals rely on them for nutrition. The loss of pteropods could disrupt entire food chains. If they disappear, the effects will cascade upward, threatening fish, birds, and even humans who rely on healthy oceans. Even fish are affected. Acidic water can confuse their senses, making it harder to avoid predators. Their ability to find food, recognize danger, and navigate their environment is compromised. Young clownfish, for example, may swim toward danger instead of away. This reversal of instinct puts them at greater risk and could lead to population declines. Ocean acidification is not just a chemical problem, it's a biological crisis. The very foundation of marine life is being shaken, with consequences that reach far beyond the water. The survival instincts of marine life are being rewired. Behaviors that have evolved over millions of years are suddenly unreliable, leaving species vulnerable in ways we are only beginning to understand. The ocean's future is at stake. If we don't act, the building blocks of life may crumble, and the world beneath the waves could be changed forever. Coral reefs, rainforests of the sea, are among the most threatened by acidification. Built by tiny coral polyps, these reefs support a quarter of all marine species. Acidification reduces the carbonate ions corals need to build their skeletons, slowing their growth. As reefs weaken, they struggle to recover from storms and bleaching events. In some places, water is becoming so acidic that coral skeletons may actually dissolve. A crumbling reef can't shelter fish or protect coastlines from storms. The loss of reefs means the loss of biodiversity, food, and livelihoods for millions. Coral reefs also support tourism and fishing industries worldwide. Their disappearance would be an ecological and economic disaster. Protecting reefs is about more than beauty. It's about survival. The fate of coral cities is a warning for us all. Ocean health is directly tied to our own. Over 3 billion people rely on seafood for protein, and millions depend on fishing for their livelihoods. Shellfish industries have already suffered massive losses as acidic waters kill young oysters and clams. In the Pacific Northwest, hatcheries had to adapt quickly to survive. The threat extends to fish like salmon, which rely on pteropods for food. If these tiny creatures disappear, entire fisheries could collapse. The economic fallout would be devastating for coastal communities and global markets. Tourism also suffers as reefs degrade and marine life vanishes. The loss of ocean resources hits the world's most vulnerable hardest. Our plates, our jobs, and our economies are all at risk. The ocean's crisis is our crisis. Protecting it is in everyone's interest. Ocean acidification is a global issue, but some regions are hit harder than others. Cold polar seas absorb more CO2, making them acidify faster. Bad news for unique polar ecosystems. Pteropods in the Southern Ocean are already showing signs of shell dissolution. Warm tropical waters, home to coral reefs, are also at risk. Even small chemical changes can devastate corals. Upwelling regions like the Pacific Northwest bring naturally acidic deep water to the surface, intensifying the problem. These hotspots are early warnings for the rest of the world. Local impacts can be severe, but they're part of a global pattern. The boundaries on our maps mean nothing to ocean currents or chemistry. What happens in one region can ripple across the planet. The crisis is everywhere, and so must be the solutions. The challenge is huge, but we can change the story. The root cause is clear: too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The solution? Cut global emissions fast. This means shifting from fossil fuels to clean, renewable energy. Governments must lead with bold policies, but individuals matter too. Every choice, how we travel, what we buy, how we vote, adds up. We can also help oceans cope by reducing overfishing, pollution, and habitat destruction. Healthy ecosystems are more resilient to change. Creating marine protected areas gives marine life a fighting chance. The future of our oceans depends on collective action. Now, every step we take matters. Alongside cutting emissions, we must protect and restore marine environments. Marine protected areas, or MPAs, act as safe havens, reducing stress on ocean life. Healthy habitats like seagrass meadows and mangroves store carbon and shelter young marine creatures. Expanding MPAs is a win for biodiversity and climate. Science and monitoring are key. Understanding risks helps us target conservation. Adaptive management, like monitoring water chemistry, can save industries and ecosystems. Restoration projects, like breeding resilient corals, buy time for recovery. These efforts can't replace cutting emissions, but they help preserve life while we act. Protecting our blue heart requires global and local solutions. The ocean's resilience depends on what we do next. The ocean isn't distant. It's central to life on Earth. It regulates our climate, provides oxygen, and supports billions of people. Ocean acidification threatens not just marine life, but humanity itself. The changes we're causing are happening faster than nature can adapt. Our actions in one place affect people and ecosystems across the globe. We are all connected by a single, magnificent ocean. This is a call to action, not despair. We have the knowledge and tools to build a sustainable future. What we need now is the will to act together.